Sick, we're rolling. You're in Cincinnati?
I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio. Yes,
You been there your whole life?
whole life, all around Cincinnati. That we've probably moved 7 times. So grew up
Oh,
on the west side. Now I'm in Westchester, which is more of East Side, ironically. But yeah, which traditionally doesn't happen. I've always heard if you grew up on the west side of Cincinnati that you never leave. So like we kind of broke the rules there.
I like Cincinnati, man. I've spent some time there. I'm from Michigan. My wife's from Tiffin, Ohio. Are you familiar?
Ish. I know. I've heard of it. I've not been there. What else is that near?
Oh, great question. Finley, maybe?
Mm,
It's another small shit town around there, I think.
gotcha. What
Yeah.
part of Michigan are you from?
Just outside Ann Arbor.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. Well,
When,
dude, I really appreciate you coming on. It's funny how this happened because a buddy of mine, his name's Joey, he sent me your page and he's like, dude, I would love to hear a conversation between you guys. And I had no idea who you are, but I clicked your page and I see you doing all this crazy stuff. And then I shot you a DM and you responded, and here we are, man. So this will be fun.
yeah, I'm super thankful. The past week has been pretty crazy. So my wife and I we were doing a hike on Memorial Day, and we promised our son, he's almost 15, that we would have him, be back home by 12:15 to take him to the pool with his friends. So we're kind of rushing. As we're leaving, I was like, I really think I can squat that log. I'm going to try that. And we laugh to ourselves now because you can hear it in her voice. We were tight on time, and I'm like, is it going? And she's like, yeah. So when we finally got it done and I was posting it, she's like, can you edit that out? I was like, it takes me forever to do anything with editing or cutting stuff. So I was like, no, we're just going to keep that in.
I love
So
that.
pretty funny that now that thing is kind of blown up. So pretty wild. Yeah, it's been a wild week. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger put that on his page, which just blew my mind. Uh, and it's just been sent all around. So I'm super thankful. I think that's 100% Jesus. I have nothing but thank God for that. It's amazing. So super crazy.
Have you always been into health and fitness and stuff like that? I'm assuming you haven't been squatting and picking up logs your whole life, but
Right. Yeah. Lincoln Logs when I was a kid. No, yeah, from a young age, I think even second grade, I was doing push-ups and sit-ups, throughout the week, just because I was always enthralled with muscle. Obviously, watching Arnold as a child, Lou Ferrigno is the Incredible Hulk, and professional wrestling. Loved wrestling, so I grew up, WWF back then, WWE now, and I always loved, physical challenges, but really the emotional and the mental part that goes with that. Of there's just so much growth that goes when you push yourself physically. I think mentally we just get so much stronger, and I really try to pursue making myself as uncomfortable as possible, as often as possible, within reasons, right? Not to where you're
Mhm.
damaging yourself. But yeah, from a young age, it's been something that's been a big part of my life for sure.
Ah, man, really cool. Same here. Have you like taken a bodybuilding approach before this style of training or?
For sure. So I'm actually a personal trainer for a living. So I've been training people in the gym for 20 something years. Started working out consistently when I was about 13 years old. I'm 45 years old now. And yeah, bodybuilding is what got pretty much all of us into this, right? I mean, that's kind of when we were younger, there was, Muscle and Fitness and
Hmm.
Flex Magazine, and you just did what you saw. So I competed in bodybuilding for a couple years. But I always enjoyed the performance side of things. So even when I was bodybuilding, I tried to lift very heavy, which ironically, heavy lifting's always scared me. I really struggle with the emotional part of believing I'm capable of doing those things. So oftentimes, like nowadays when I'm outside about to do a heavy stone or a log pickup, I'll dry heave, right? Almost throw up for a little bit. Uh, just that adrenaline going on. And I really struggle with self-doubt on that, honestly. So as long as I've been doing this, I really have to keep working with myself and working through some fears on, are you actually capable of doing this? So um, as much as lifting heavy scares me, it's something I really, really enjoy, especially outdoors. So after bodybuilding, I got into strongman for quite a few years and competed um, probably 8 or 9 years in strongman and really enjoyed that. Just the greatest group of people. I mean, just awesome. And two or three of my really good friends introduced me to natural stone lifting, and I just completely fell in love with that. And it was kind of like, well, I love doing stones outside. So what all can I do? Right? Can
Hmm.
I do all of my training outdoors? So I've not done any workouts in the gym in about a year and a half. So I would do the sauna sometimes and I'll stretch in the gym, but all of my training, cardio and lifting is all outdoors while hiking.
And how tall and how much do you weigh?
Be a good time to say I'm 6'4", but I'm barely 5'9". So
That's funny.
5'9". I'm about 205, 210. If I eat too many Krispy Kreme donuts, I'm probably 212, 214. So
Yep.
210 is a pretty good spot for me.
Yeah, man, I always find it so interesting. You said you're 45 years old.
Hmm.
Yeah, dude,
Yep.
that's crazy. I was gonna say like early 30s. It's so wild to me how
I appreciate it.
people that have been doing this for the majority of their lives, how they age. Like you can't cheat it, man.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's mind blowing. I mean, community is huge, right? Just
Yep.
people building into each other. Obviously, eating healthy. For me, faith is a huge part of aging well, and just move, right? Physically move. And it doesn't, I think we overcomplicate things with training. It doesn't have to be rocket science. I think if you're training for something very specific, you're going to the Olympics or you're very high level power lifter or strongman or bodybuilding, the science behind that is super impressive. But if you're talking just human performance and being healthy, literally move, carry someone's couch, right? Go for a walk, go find a log out in the woods and carry it, do some body weight squats, something, just move and try to be creative for the emotional part of it.
Have you heard of the you said stone lifting. Have you heard of the is it called kidney stones? Does that sound right? Basically,
The Denny Stones, the Denny Stones.
yes, that's what it is. Have you done that ever?
I've not done that, no. So I love to do the Husafell Stone. Have you heard of the Husafell Stone in Iceland?
Uh-uh.
So yeah, so there's a really awesome stone lifting culture out there. On Instagram, I'd encourage you to find some other stone lifters. There's quite a few to name, but great guys, great girls, just awesome, awesome. So Iceland has a really big culture of stone lifting that is tied heavily to their history. Scotland is another one,
Yep.
very big. That's where Scotland is where the Denny Stones are. So the
Yep.
Denny Stones have these metal rings in them. So I've never really trained that. That is a very difficult lift and very specific skill. It's awesome. I mean, there's a small list of people in the world that have ever done that. So my passion is more towards just completely natural stone lifting, just and things out in nature. But the utmost respect for people that have done the Denny stones or the Husafell or any of the historic stones. There's awesome ones, and there's actually some guys out in Utah that are really trying to put stone lifting on the map in the United States, which is
Mm.
really cool. So they've got a bunch of stones logged out there. There's awesome guys up in Canada. Another guy local here with me, Bryce. So just a bunch of really great people that enjoy the kind of the history of that. But yeah, the Denny Stones are no joke. That is a I've never been over there and seen them, but that is a legit feat of strength.
Well, I got a guy you need to connect with. I'll send you his page after we're done. His name's Justin True. He's actually been on the podcast and he
Okay.
did it. He did it like last year
Oh
or
wow,
something. Yeah,
very cool.
I had no idea what it was. And then
Great.
it just came across my page and I see him deadlifting like I think it's like 700 pounds. I don't know how much it is, but
Right,
it's
right.
it's a crap ton of weight and I was impressed. Like,
Yeah, it's pretty, and that, and along with the strength of it, the skill to do that
right.
is really impressive. I mean, those are brutal.
Well,
Those are not
there's
done,
really
but
no range of motion for it. Like you can't really get down and grab them.
yeah, because you got these big stone in front of you and behind you. So
Yeah.
yeah, pretty unforgiving.
Yeah, I thought it was a I had never seen anything like that. When I saw it, I hit him up about it. And yeah, quite the feat. He was actually struggling to try to find ways to train for it. Um,
Mm,
just because I mean, you can only deadlift so much. It's a totally different position and everything else. So,
for sure.
anyways, when did this come about? Because I mean, I doubt one day you just woke up and you're like, "Hey, I'm gonna go deadlift this log or try to pick up this rock in the middle of a stream." Was this just like a challenge or did you see something and were like, "Hey, I wonder if I can do that?" And now I mean, you said you've been doing it for a year, year and a half. I just think it's such a unique way of training, and
For
it's
sure.
awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it, first of all. Um, so it was just kind of a process, right? So I always, again, have loved lifting and training, and it was outdoors was always something I enjoyed. Hiking has always been something that I enjoy. And it would kind of be sprinkled through my training and through my life that when I was out there, I may try something um, with my traditional lifts in the gym. And when I was still competing in strongman, I would lift a natural stone sometimes. And I know that I don't know, I feel like primal was kind of a hashtag word these days, but I really do feel like it wakes up something kind of primal inside of you. I mean, it's something that's been there since God made the earth. And it's, hey, what can I do this? It's uneven, it's unbalanced, it may be slick, may rip your arms open a little bit. Let's see what we can do with this. So that was kind of sprinkled in my training throughout. And I get way too OCD in the gym. So when I would be lifting, did my left arm get as worked as my right arm? And did I do extra on this or did I do enough on this side? And I would drive myself crazy with that. And I just felt this freedom, obviously from that, but also just fresh air and really unique challenges when I would go outside. So I knew I wanted to move towards doing just all outdoors training. And just didn't I just didn't have that mindset as far as the creativity yet. So I would do my stone lifting outside and try to think of other things. But I just feel like again, I have got all the credit for this. I feel like he just didn't open my eyes yet on that. And then one of the first things I did on my that I posted on Instagram, I think, along with my natural stone lifting, I think the first one that really kind of let me know, hey, you can do this, as I did an overhead tricep extension with a stone probably 70 or 80 pounds. That felt really good. And then I found a log and I sat on it and I just gripped a smaller stone between my feet and did some leg extensions with it. And then that same day, I think I did, there was a big downed tree next to the creek. So I jumped up and landed into a plank position on both sides. And that kind of opened my eyes like, wait, okay, I can do this. Like, let's just be creative. And whatever I do in the gym or what I used to do in the gym, let's just try to mimic that outside.
Mm.
Um, so that's yeah, just kind of an organic process, honestly. Of it wasn't necessarily moving away from the gym because that'll always have a special place in my heart. That's where I started, but moving towards something that I really really love more and just feel a really good freedom out there.
How does this go about? I mean, do you have like your own little outdoor gym now outside, or are you just like, hey, I'm gonna go to this trail and I'm gonna go for a hike and hopefully find some heavy stuff to pick up? Or
Yeah, more
how does this
more of that.
go?
So by my house in Westchester, there's Keener Park, which is 2 miles from me. By my work, I've got a really good park called French Park. And those two is where those are where I'll do most of my log lifts or balancing or things with trees or in water. Um, there's a place called Springboro, Ohio, that's a little north of me. I used to live up there about 20, 25 minutes north. And that's where I do all my heavy stone lifts. So up there's all of the glacial boulders. Down here, it's mostly like limestone and flat rock, but up in Springboro, there's this creek that is just chock full of massive granite glacial boulders, big round stones that I just go in there and I'll walk the creek and use my hands to dig in the mud and try to find one and pull it out, which is a workout in itself. And
Yes.
then if it's a acceptable stone, then I'll see what I can do that day. But constantly, those are the three places I normally go, but I'll go other places as well. And I'm always looking, right? I've always got my eye open. So I'm there was one where I did a kind of a handstand, then like wrapped my legs around a branch and held a log and did some crunches that way a few weeks ago. And I'd been trying to do that exercise for weeks, but trying to find the right tree, the right height, right position that I can actually make something work, and not a branch so small that I'm going to fall and break something. um, so I've always got a couple exercises. I shouldn't say always, but usually a few exercises I'm kind of cooking up and trying to figure out what's the right location and is this possible and how can I, like the log squat that I did. Actually, I've been wanting to do that for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and just haven't found the right log as
That's,
far as
that's so
diameter, as far as
wild.
weight. And so yes, I'm always out looking. I tried to squat this one tree that would have broke my back if I did it. So it's yeah, just always kind of looking around and trying to be creative. And sometimes at night I'll just think, well, yeah, I think one of the greatest things you can do in fitness is to ask what if and ask why not. Like the traditional rules of lifting, I think a lot of this came from bodybuilding. And if you're talking hypertrophy and putting on muscle, I would agree with this. But other ways I wouldn't. So like one of the rules is you never train the same body part 2 days in a row. Why? Like we're certainly made to handle that. So if
Yeah.
you get a ranger in Yellowstone National Park and they have to drag a dead bison off the road one day and cut down 12 trees the next day, they're certainly working the same muscles. And they're
Absolutely.
probably absolutely beasts, right? So our body is capable of adapting to almost anything we put on it. So I think it's a good thing to challenge it within safety regulations, right? Or regulations, whatever your body says. So I really, really try to hopefully that comes across. Then what I put up on Instagram is I'm not doing something just for views. And I stand very strong on that because when you do stuff outside, there's certainly danger involved. So I really try to work within what I'm capable of doing. Like I'll push really hard and try to be creative. At the same time, I'm not going to risk my health. Um, so I think as long as it's within a healthy range, ask why not. Ask what if. Like let me try something new here and let's see what happens.
So wild too, because you don't even know how much these stones weigh or these logs weigh. And to
Yeah,
the normal gym goer, I mean, you know how it is. You can get really caught up in those numbers.
oh, for sure. Absolutely. But that's part of the freedom I experience out there is not knowing.
Yeah.
I stones I can guesstimate pretty well because I've got some stones at my house that I bought from Stemco from an outdoor store where you know different landscaping things, and I had them weighed. So my first chapter of natural stone lifting was actually at my house. So those I all know I knew what all they weigh. So based on different grip and density, right, that all plays in. But I with stones I have an ish idea
Hmm.
what they logs. I'm terrible at estimating what they are because they're so long. You only have part of the weight sometimes, so that's a real challenge. But again, I really enjoy not knowing because each stone and each log they really present their own challenge. There's stones I've lifted that are lighter than others, but that are so technically challenging
Yeah,
that
there's
the weight.
awkward.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So they can be really off balance. The grip can be terrible on them. Um, just an awkward shape, and it can kind of make the weight secondary as far as the challenge goes.
Yeah. It's so cool that you're doing this, man. And for, your one of your videos to kind of get put out there. I mean, that's how my buddy found you. That's how I ended up finding you. Um,
Yeah,
Very
pretty
neat.
cool.
And man, I'm on here, it seems like week after week, just like I'm a trainer too, dude. And like personally, I don't give a damn what you want to do in regards to fitness. Just go out and do something. Do
Yeah,
something
yeah,
that
yeah.
go out and do something that you enjoy. Do something that you can do repeatedly and
Mm,
have fun with it. Just be active, even if it's walking your dog or going for
right.
a half a mile jog. Like I do not care as long as you're doing something. And for you, you've kind of well, your training has taken a complete turn to outdoors, picking up stones, squatting logs, and I think that's awesome. I've never seen anything like it.
Thank you. I really do. I think anytime people push themselves physically, that just has a special place in my heart. Because I mean, you do this and you train people, and you know the benefits of that. So anytime somebody steps into that lifestyle, even if they're just dipping their toes in and trying it, you can relate to that, right? Because you know the emotional benefits of that. You know physically that you're gonna stand a bit taller, you're gonna have some confidence, and that translates to daily life, right?
Absolutely.
So that's what I always tell my clients, like it doesn't mean because you push through on a set of leg extensions or outdoors on a hike or whatever it is, it doesn't mean because you push through on that when you lose a loved one or you lose your job or something very challenging happens, it doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. It does, however, create a mindset that you're willing to push through it, right? That you're a fighter and that you're not going to give in to something. And it conditions you for challenges in life. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more with you. Talk to me about the elements. Because not only is the workouts you're doing extremely hard, but I have a feeling you enjoy when it is raining, when it is cold, when it is icy or snowy. What's
Yep,
that do
100%.
for you?
A little scary, but I enjoyed the challenge. one time this is on my Instagram page. It was we only had one good snow here this winter, which made me a little sad because I love doing stuff in the cold. And I went up and I think it was 19 degrees here, and I went up and I know that the stones freeze to the ground, so I should have set them in an upright position, and for whatever reason I did not. So the stone that I went up to lift was completely frozen. So I spent probably 25, 30 minutes with a stick trying to dig this thing out, and it just wasn't working. But I went up and I just wore my hiking boots, a pair of socks, and a pair of shorts. So no shirt on and shorts. It was 19 degrees. I was out there about an hour and a half, I think hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, and just used the cold as part of the workout. And then at the end, I was able to find a stone in the creek. So I went into the water that way when it's really cold, and I was pretty numb at that point. And picked a stone up out of the water and carried it out. And it was a lighter stone than what I wanted to carry that day, but the cold was a huge part of the workout, right? So I just used the cold as, let's use this as a right as part of the workout itself. Um, One of my really good friends, they've got a house up in Michigan, up on Glen Lake in Glen Arbor, and they let my wife and son and I go up there a couple of times, and it was that water's cold in the summertime. So a couple of years ago, it was December 26th, and I knew I wanted to get in the water. So just after Christmas time, and by the time we got up there and unpacked everything, it was 9 o'clock at night. I was by myself when I did this. I put this on YouTube, and it was like a minute walk out into the water to get deep enough to kind of sink down. And I was filming it to kind of, I don't know if you do the same thing. My mind almost kind of goes into that like laser focus where I can convince myself I didn't even do it. It's like you don't really remember what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I filmed it and my phone shut off a minute in. So then I just turned my phone back on. So I did probably a total of 4 or 5 minutes out in the lake in Michigan in December at night by myself, which was not the smartest thing. Like I got multiple lectures from my friends that are nurses. And my wife was like, "Yeah, not smart." But I love that. Again, I feel like it wakes up something in you. I know it does good things physically, but emotionally and mentally to push through something that actually scares you, because I think we get away from that, right?
Yeah.
Once you're out of as a child, the basement may scare you, right? Or walking to the bus stop by yourself. And these are things that you have to do as a child. And I think we really pursue comfort too often as adults. Um, I think it's really good to do things that scare you, again, within reason, not something that's going to really put you at a risk for damaging your health or, or dying, obviously. But I do think it's good to put yourself in scary situations. Like as a grown man out in that lake at night by myself, I'm thinking about Freddy Krueger and Jason and the Loch Ness monster, and like every scary movie you've seen is coming true out there. But to push through that, and then when you get back inside, there's a great sense of accomplishment. The one up in Springboro in the wintertime, I mean, finishing that, it wasn't my heaviest lift, but I felt so accomplished after that, and so thankful that I was able to get through that. So
Yeah.
the rain, the same thing in the heat though too, right? I love in the heat. It's summertime now, so I think in the heat, again, within reason, if you're conditioned for this, wear a pair of like Under Armour tights, wear a pair of sweatpants, wear a couple of tight shirts, a t-shirt and a sweatshirt and a hat, and then go lift and use the heat to your advantage. So instead of trying to just wear shorts and t-shirt in the heat and stay away from it, embrace that, make that part of your training, and use everything that's given in nature.
Can you touch on any more examples just in everyday life apart from fitness about things that you're scared about that you try to put yourself in that uncomfortable position or that position of being in fear? Like
Oh, for
maybe
sure.
do you have anything? Like I know you said you were a little bit nervous for the podcast, and for the record, you're freaking crushing it. So,
I appreciate it. Yeah, this scares me. So really professional settings scare me. I love relationships. I love people. I love being around people. I'm very extroverted, but still struggle with insecurities. I think most of us have some of those. So we were raised, my dad's a retired Cincinnati police officer. My mom's a hairstylist. So I have an older brother, two younger sisters. So we never had any money growing up. So things that are really nice, like my buddy took me, my wife, to a really nice restaurant here in Cincinnati, and I'm completely intimidated by the professional setting of it. But once I can see someone's face and their eyes, okay, you're a person. We're people. You know, we have the same things, the same struggles. Like I don't know, everyone's had diarrhea, right? Everyone's lost a friend, lost a pet. So we're the same. We're the same here. And no matter what suit you're wearing or what role you have, the people, the human connection is really helpful for me. But being in a really professional or like a high end setting, I do not do well with that at all. Um, for me, trusting God, love the Lord, fully believe that Jesus is God, truly trusting Him is very very scary for me most times. Like to actually say like I'm not in control. This is not my power doing this. I'm going to really trust you. That's a scary thing for me. It always goes well when I do, but that's I think faith. I think we make words like church words kind of sound fun and easy oftentimes, and I think if you're actually following God, that's a very scary thing. There's a peace there, but you're stepping out of your comfort zone and saying this isn't of me, right? I don't have control here. Um, and I would just say being vulnerable in relationships sometimes that can be even with my wife, right? I mean, if there's something I'm really, really struggling with, just being very, very vulnerable and very open, because I feel like our culture, I think there's a push on this that men are starting to be more open emotionally. I think that's something that's starting to happen. But traditionally, I think that we've been taught that you shouldn't do that, that that's a sign of weakness. And I believe completely opposite. I believe that vulnerability is a sign of strength, but it's also very hard
It is.
to
Yeah,
walk.
I think you're right though. I think there is a push for that.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. Just mental health in general, I think is, and I think specifically for men on that, because for so long we've bottled things up, and I think been in, I won't say encouraged to do it, but I certainly feel like men have not been encouraged to be open and vulnerable. I think that was hidden for a very long time.
Do you think the fear of being vulnerable is just maybe the fact that you might be judged?
It's like the layers of the onion, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, I uh, I play this out sometimes in my mind. Is that so? If someone does judge you, what are they going to say? I'm okay, right? Inside, I'm still okay. Um, what if they think you're not enough? Then I would ask myself, enough for what? Right? Especially if it's your wife, right? She married me. So clearly there's a great love and trust there. But as far as judgment, I think on the surface it's easy to say no, that doesn't bother me. But I think if I'm being very honest and look deep down, I'm sure that plays in for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it does
Yeah.
too. I think that's human though. I think that's natural.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
So
think
I
that's okay too.
and I think that comes from all different places, right? So yeah, I'll be on the fear thing. A big example for me, which we're here doing this. I'll be very, very open on this. So I was sexually abused for a long time as a child. Um, Walking through a lot of things that come with healing from that, very scary. Uh, Being where I am now, married to a beautiful woman of my dreams, having a beautiful son, I would walk through that 1,000 times again, right? To be able to be kind of on the other side. There's still challenges, that come from trauma and from abuse, but being in a very, very awesome place as far as relationally with my wife and son is just something that I would walk through anything to to be here. Um, but there's a lot of very very scary, very hurtful things that you have to walk through on that. And I know God used the gym for me to help me with that. So getting through that, I mean, that happened for many many years and very bad stuff. But healing from from being any type of abuse, for me it was being sexually abused, but any type of emotional abuse, physical abuse, anything is it's a scary process and very challenging. Always worth it, right, to push through and have loved ones around you that you can trust, but scary nonetheless.
I really appreciate you bringing that up. I know that's, we just met each other and, quite a few people are going to end up listening to this, but uh, there will be people listening to this that have gone through similar things such as you. So they'll be able to relate and maybe even reach out to you. But can you
For sure.
touch on, man, I see it, especially with my own life and people that are close to me. eh, They talk about like childhood wounds. Obviously, that's one, but things that happen early on in life, and that if you don't deal with them as you get older, they're always going to rear their head one way or the other. And you might not
Yeah,
necessarily chalk it up to that, but dude, it's because you didn't take care of it and you didn't work through it, talk about it,
yeah,
express how you were feeling about it. And I think it can be detrimental to people if they don't take care of negative things that have happened in their life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I had a great childhood. I mean, I know my parents love me. My parents did get divorced. Um, but mom and dad both love me. I've got a second mom. I wouldn't say stepmom. She came into our family. There's four of us, and we have about 15 grandkids. So, or she does now. So I think she's earned to be called mom to do that. Um, but very, very loving parents, awesome childhood, brother and sisters. We always played and had a great time. I do feel like as far as like childhood wounds, obviously the abuse was life changing, like significant. But I don't know if other kids had this experience. I always felt outside a little bit, right? Like if there were friends talking in school, I always felt like I didn't belong. Um, Not good enough, not in the know, not whatever. And I don't say that as a like a woe is me thing because I think a lot of kids probably go through that. I don't fit in, and that's something I really like. I try to talk to my wife and I both try to talk to our son about that and really just build in that here's who you are, you're God's child, and that's your biggest identity. But I feel like the not fitting in is probably something most people feel, at least at some point. I felt that quite often as a child. And I think that's probably why I cherish community so much, why I really enjoy relationships, because knowing the depth of friends that I have and the quality of friends that I have, it's the biggest blessing in the world. I always joke with or talk to people that like if you're a trainer, oftentimes you work with people that have some bit of financial security, right? Because
Hmm.
training is not cheap.
Yep.
Um, and as far as finances go, my wife and I are very paycheck to paycheck, but I believe there's different types of wealth. And as far as relationships, I stand strong on this that I'm one of the wealthiest people you'll ever meet. I've got the greatest family and friends in the world. People say you don't have more than five true friends. That is just not true. I have got so many great friends that have built into me over the years that I know would do anything, and that's what's important to me, right? And I'm extremely wealthy in that, so I'm so thankful for that.
That takes effort though.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't think it just happens, right?
No, it
It
doesn't.
takes on effort on both parts. So that is but again, that goes back to the vulnerability, right? So when both people or multiple people in a relationship are willing to kind of share their wounds and really see the person for who they are, that's where that really good connection happens. Right? If it's just the on the surface stuff of, hey, I this, I that, I'm good, I'm here, I'm strong, I'm this. You give a very on the surface relationship where you're basically trying to compare yourself to each other and see who's accomplished more, see who's, you know, better at whatever. But to really just, I'd say humbly slight yourself under the other person and look to serve them, you have people doing that, and that's a great place to be.
Yes, absolutely. In what ways are you trying to strengthen your marriage? How long have you been married?
So we got married in 2019, so we're coming up on 5 years. So December of 2019, just before the world shut down with COVID. So
Yeah, talk about a honeymoon, huh?
right, yeah, 3 months in, I was unemployed. My wife is a counselor for people with chemical dependency, so she was, still working. So we were homeschooling our son, and yeah, welcome to marriage. The time together was amazing. Like that was great, just having more downtime together. But it was a little scary on how you're going to pay your bills.
Yeah, without a doubt. What things are you doing to strengthen your relationship? Because, man, marriage to me, it's so funny. At face value, if you want to look at it for exactly what it is, I try to dumb things down as much as possible. It's like, okay, it's me, it's her. It shouldn't be that difficult. Like, you just have to get along with one other person. Like, it can't be that hard, right? But
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
don't freaking make time, if you don't be deliberate and
Mm,
plan things and actually freaking work at it and have tough talks and hear each
yeah,
other out, because you're going to have arguments, you're going to have disagreements, but you always have to circle back. But if you don't make the appropriate effort to truly
yeah.
understand that person, marriage
Mm.
is really, really, it's not an easy game. And it
No, no,
obviously it's not a
no,
game, but you understand what I'm saying. It requires a heck of a lot of work.
it really does. Yeah. So as as a Christian, putting Jesus at the top 100% is me pursuing him, her pursuing him, spending time in the Bible, and really making sure I'm honoring him in my marriage is first and foremost. A huge part is learning to speak different language, right? So and I think you would relate to this as a personal trainer, that I oftentimes tell trainers one of the greatest things you can do as a trainer is to be able to speak multiple languages emotionally, right? You have to be able to speak to the person that can't stand working out, someone, a meathead that loves working out, someone who's intimidated, and be able to speak different languages and meet them where they are. I think the same thing applies in marriage. So I have to, I don't know if you can hear my bird squawking in the background.
Oh, you're good.
But
My dogs have
uh,
been barking this whole time. Hopefully they're not coming through, but
so my wife, Susie, she is extremely introverted. I'm extremely extroverted. She needs time to think when we have a disagreement or an argument. She needs a day or two or three. My mind is like this, like I'm always thinking, and I'm very uh, quick to think emotionally. And sometimes that's good, and sometimes that's a challenge because I want to talk about it right now. And right, typical guy, let's fix this right now. Um, that ends up going not very well. So what I've learned is if we just stay close physically, hold each other, still hold hands, still kiss, um, sleep in the same bed. 2 or 3 days later, what seemed like a huge deal is normally a small conversation, right? So it's not nearly as overwhelming as it would have been if we tried to solve it in the moment. And I think I heard Jordan Peterson say this. It was brilliant advice. He said, if you're in an argument with your spouse and you are better at articulating your thoughts, like if you're very, very quick, and that's kind of how I think all the time, is just on the moment, let's go. Um, he said that part of your job is to help your spouse articulate their thoughts, right? So if she or he or whoever it is isn't as good or as comfortable verbalizing their thoughts of what they're feeling, you need to help them with that because they may be right, right?
hmm.
You may be in the wrong here. So kind of help them get their point out and listen to it, right? Just because you're faster at coming up with what you're feeling doesn't mean you're in the right. It just means that you can verbalize it faster. So I thought that was really impactful for me, and look at it instead of an argument, look at it more as let me help understand you and you understand me. And when there's that comfort there, that safety, that I know that she has my best at heart and we may disagree, I that's easy to swallow, right? Even if you disagree with me and I know you love me and you trust me and I trust you, we can work with that. I think the really bad arguments come from when you don't feel respected, trusted, loved, or heard. So I don't know. We had a thing a little while ago. I wanted to take my son to or take our son to WWE was in town, right? Wrestling was in town, and he's never seen it. And I grew up watching this, and it was super cool. It was super awesome. And for me, with him, that was a bonding thing. I really wanted, like, I really, really wanted to take him. And she didn't grow up watching wrestling. It doesn't really make sense to her. And she's like, I don't know. I don't really feel good about this. On that one, I died to myself, right? And I failed many times on this, but on that one, respecting her desire and her thought on this was more important to me than taking my son or taking our son to go to this. So I disagree to this day. I disagree. I think it would have been fine to take him, but seeing the like her seeing that loyalty to her
Yes.
was more important to me than me taking our little guy to wrestling.
Yeah.
So definitely sacrifice sometimes, and she does the same thing multiple times. So I don't think the logic of we have to agree on things should be as important as I need to love and respect who I'm with and show them that.
Yeah, it's a sense of cutting your losses. Like, is it really something that you're going to push that hard at when it can
Right.
really
Right.
just turn into something that you just don't want to go down that road? I get it.
Right. And
I
as a
get it.
result of that, what she heard from me through that action was how much I love you and I respect you, even if we
Exactly.
disagree. Right.
Exactly.
And I feel like we're kind of in a place, and it makes me sad where, if you disagree with me in life on whatever, then get out of my life. And that's a terrible thing. I'm like, no, like we can love each other and we can disagree on things. It would be a very boring world if we all agreed on the exact same thing, right? That'd be a terrible, that'd be a terrible place. But I don't agree with my wife on how many dishes we need. But I love her more than anyone in the world. Like you can totally love people, and on big issues too, you can have disagreements and really encourage each other, and maybe even have conversations that are encouraging when you do disagree, right?
Hmm.
And go get Chipotle afterwards. Like it's a wonderful thing. It doesn't have to be get out of my life.
Exactly. I mean, you guys are two different people. We all are. There's nobody like Mark. There's nobody like me. There's nobody like your wife, period. You're
Yep,
not
yep,
going to
yep.
align on every single thing.
Not at all.
And I see it
Not
with,
at all.
I see it all the time. And especially, and it's weird to say, but with politics, you have the right side and you have the left side. And we're not going to dive really into this, but nobody wants to hear each other out. Everybody's like, it's either my way, the highway. Oh, okay. Well, then screw you. Like, you guys
Right.
need to
Yeah,
have
yeah,
a
yeah.
you guys need to have a conversation here.
Yeah. I don't know who.
You don't gotta like it, but you might need to respect it a little bit.
Right, right. I don't know who said this, but I heard someone say that we have, and I won't quote it exactly right, but just that we have way more in common than we do not.
Agreed.
Right. And you with someone you would disagree with, you have way more in common with them than what you have not in common. Right. We all have a very similar experience, different versions of it. Um, so I always one of my friends, we were talking one time and said if anyone was ever talking about me or anyone, I feel like the political party that I vote for should be about the 400th thing that you should say about me. Like first and foremost, that I follow Jesus and love people, and I'm a husband and a dad, and hopefully a friend and family, and all these other things, and let that be at the bottom of the barrel. Like that is not my identity.
I want to take a step back here real quick, man. I wrote down a note here about how you were saying that, you're super quick at articulating your thoughts and you want to figure it out now with your wife. She needs a day or two, maybe three to kind of gather her
Mm-hmm.
thoughts, figure it out. And it reminded me of a guy I had on a few months ago. His name was Isaac, and I was asking him just random marriage tips and stuff. He's been married for, gosh, I think he said over 20, 30 years, whatever it was. And he told me, he's like, whoever said don't go to bed mad is completely wrong. He's like, go to bed upset. It's okay. Because next thing you know, it's 3, 4, 5 in the morning and you guys are bickering and arguing about the same stuff. Nobody's had any time to think about what the heck is actually going on. Nobody's stepped outside of the room and gathered their thoughts. Go to bed a little bit upset, and then the next day you've slept on it. You can come level-headed. You'll wake up with a clearer mind, and you can carry on from there.
Right,
And
right.
some people might not like that because I think we've all been there where we're staying up too late arguing about the same shit. And it's like we didn't solve anything. Sometimes you do. Sometimes you do, but at least with us, I mean, the majority of the time we freaking don't. So we just try to table it and just
Right.
pick it up the next day with clearer minds. So I loved when you
Yeah.
told me that.
It's funny because I really struggle with that because I think that's
I do
actually
too, brother.
scripture. I think it's actually in the Bible to not let the sun set on your anger. I think that's in the Bible. I struggle with that. Like
I do
I'm
too.
like, oh, I don't know that I can get rid of my anger sometimes before nighttime, right? I know that some things are like the context, I'm sure, of the scripture is important, but yeah, with Susie and myself, I know that, and maybe it's as simple as even though I'm frustrated or angry, maybe I hold on to the fact that I love her, and that's what I focus on. Like maybe I think you can be angry and not focus on your anger, just like you can be scared of something and not focus on the fear. So maybe you're scared of whatever you're doing at work or lifting or in a relationship, but that's not your focus. Like the fear doesn't go away, but it's not going to run you. It's not going to control you. So maybe the same thing with anger, that if Susie's angry at me or me at her or a situation in life, maybe that's still there, but that's not going to be my focus in life, right? I'm going to focus on the fact that our love is greater than this. And we'll get through this because we've had it before and it'll happen again.
Yes, yes, it always does. It always happens again. And that's all right. That's part of it, man.
Right. Are you married?
I am. Yes, sir.
How long have you been married?
It'll be 3 years in August.
Nice. Congratulations. Very
Thank you.
cool.
Yeah, really. Yeah, we're doing great. You said you have a son, correct?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
How old's your son?
So he's going to be 15 in a week. So he'll be
Wow. Awesome.
15 in a week. So yeah, it's so, I mean, people always say it goes so fast, but my goodness, just wild, 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 wild.
Have you seen this? Obviously, I know you said you're 45.
Yep.
Have you seen the older you get, the quicker the time goes?
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Dude, I mean,
I
think about it. It's June 9th.
right.
Like Christmas seemed like 2 weeks ago.
Right.
I'm
Yeah,
serious, man. I was talking about this with a buddy the other day, and every year that goes by, it seems like it just goes a little bit quicker than the
for sure.
last year, and even months, weeks, days,
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
I don't know what the only thing I can relate to it is actually doing podcasting is because like we'll get on a podcast for an hour and then I mean shit, we're almost at that number now and you're like, what the heck? We've been talking for a whole hour. But
Right. Yeah, exactly.
it's the only thing I can compare it to is just time is just flying by.
I think part of it is I heard someone say, "What is it? The days are long, but the years are fast."
Yes.
Um, Hopefully, as we get older, we learn to enjoy life a little bit more. And when you're on vacation, it seems to fly by, right? When
Yes.
you're on a cool trip or the weekend, excuse me, seems to get way faster. And I'm very thankful for my career. I love what I do, but sometimes work days seem longer than right than a weekend day. And maybe there's something to that, that as we get older that we enjoy life more, we learn to be thankful for even the challenges. And traditionally things that I enjoy seem to go faster than things that I don't enjoy. So if I can enjoy life at 45 more than I did at 22, maybe that's part of why it feels like it speeds up some, because I'm actually enjoying each moment.
Hmm. Yeah, I think there's something to that. I've had thoughts like that too. I think that might actually be exactly what it is. Is you're as we get older, we're able to sit back and appreciate the good moments that we're having, which in turn,
Yeah,
I mean, think about how long it takes to get to a vacation, right?
right.
Weeks on out, you're like, man, like, are we almost there yet? And then you get there, and the next thing you know, it's over with because you're enjoying it more.
Right.
Yeah, really fun, man. What else you got, dude? I'm clean out of notes. Anything else on your heart?
Yeah, so this has been a really crazy week. So I've known my wife too, and a good friend of mine. We've talked about this for a while, that there's definitely something to what I'm doing outside as far as I just think it's cool. I think it's fun. I know the emotional benefits that I get from it, from being outside. Uh, to the point that if I don't hike for a few days, my wife will tell me, "All right, you need to go get outside." Like you get
Yes.
a little wound up, like in the house after a little while. So again, I always talk about that, but the mental health benefits of that to me are far superior than what we even realize. Like I think we know a teeny bit of the benefits as far as what it does emotionally and mentally, but I think in the next generation, I think doctors, scientists, psychologists will learn so much more about the real benefits of being outdoors, and especially lifting and training and exercising outdoors. So for a while, it's been like, okay, there's like I love training my clients in the gym. I Amazing relationships. I love being a part of that. But I was like, can I train people outdoors? Logistically, I don't know if it makes sense. Can you like, do we hike around and find something? Do I have stuff set up out there? Like, how does this work? Is it a concept? Like, what do we do? Can we actually help people and come up with a product here? And we've thought and prayed and talked for about a year and a half now. And a friend of mine introduced me to someone else, and we kind of made a connection. And they do some mentoring and just kind of building into people. And I was going to meet with this guy one day about 2 months ago. And the night before, I was kind of processing that with my wife. And I said, the interesting thing is, I said, nature forces team building, right? It makes it happen. And she was like, we're both like, yeah, that's it. Like, this is a team building thing. So we're actually starting, like, on the side, a team building business that I don't even have a name for it yet. We're still working on that part. So it's that new. I had my first paying gig for this uh, just over a week ago, last Saturday. Um, but use the things that I do outdoors as a team building things, because I think the all the stuff people do, like panic rooms, are awesome. They're super fantastic, super fun. a lot of courses that people can do for team building and different experiences. Great experiences. I feel like nature is so basic, but it's can be so complicated at the same time. A little bit of danger, again, within reason, and just situations that you don't even have to force the team building because nature will do that in itself.
Hmm.
So I had these people down in this part of the park where I squatted that log, and there was a really high incline, steep, narrow path, root systems, tree down, and I had about a 250-pound log that a few of them had to carry, flip, roll up, and watch them adapt through that. Of how do you guys do this? Then I had two people that were blindfolded with two other people, like one person leading each of them. So they're completely blind as they're going up this hill with very complicated footing, and talk about trust, right? So
Exactly.
can't see, you have to get up this. And then through the process, I would say if you were on the log, now you come lead someone blind. You were here, so now you're leading it, and kind of vice versa. And just switch up, and then a debrief afterwards. And it went extremely well. So I'm going to start doing this with kind of in the corporate world, but also with families. I think father son would be really cool.
Mhm.
Mother daughter, bachelor parties, right? Instead of going and finding a stripper, let's do something that honors God, that builds into people, that strengthens relationships, and lets you see what you're actually capable of. So that's an exciting adventure that we're starting. So we'll do website, LLC, and come up with a name in the next couple of weeks. That's a very awesome thing. I feel like God's been pulling us there for a long time. We just didn't know what does this actually look like, and how do we use something that I know is good to actually serve Him and help other people. So I'm very excited about that.
Really cool. Yeah, I'm excited to follow along. Do you have any other ideas in terms of like the activities?
Yeah, so I've got to come up with about 8 of these, I think. One
Okay.
other one that I had was up in the area where I do stones in Springboro. I was going to have people with their hands find multiple stones in the creek or on land and build a bridge across the creek. And then one of the logs I've squatted and lifted before, either carry the log as a group across that bridge, or maybe even have someone sit on that log and the other ones kind of carry them across. That would be an extreme challenge because that log is heavy to begin with. But I think that'd be a really good one for like father son. Maybe
Yeah.
have a smaller log, have the kids on the log and have the dads carry that across. I think that'd be fun. Or for a bunch of I don't know, 20 or 30-year-old guys and girls that actually love lifting. I think that'd be a really good challenge. So the brain is working now on different scenarios for people that are, of different ages and abilities. I think it'd be a really I love to work with the elderly population on that. I think that'd be an amazing thing. Again, make it appropriate for what you can do. Push a bit, but keep everybody safe. But there's so many benefits that work with outdoors. I used to volunteer with a group called Building Bridges up in Dayton, Ohio. We work with at-risk kids, and every year we would take a group of normally 5 or 6 boys to the boundary waters to northern Minnesota and Canada on about a 60-mile canoe voyage up there. And that's my favorite place on the planet. Just pristine water, amazing. And you're pushing through some pretty hard stuff. Like we would do a pretty hard trek out there, and you're canoeing hours a day, and then you're portaging the canoe on your back and the bags. And these are kids that are normally from broken homes. And to see them from 13 years old to 17 or 18, to see them really push through, not just physically, but emotionally, it's a bond that you have forever. So no matter what I go through or they go through, you can always talk about that. And they know they've accomplished something amazing in that time. So that was definitely an influence on thinking about team building as well.
Yeah, you're gonna have to start building up your cache of rocks and logs out there in the woods to make sure you got enough equipment out there.
Right. Yep.
Y- I think I'm spot on when it comes to this, man, but when I talk to you and just hear your story and see what you're not doing this to get jacked. You're not doing this to have a six pack. Those are all just benefits of it. You're doing it for everything above the shoulders. Is that right?
Yeah, I'd say mind and heart, right?
Yeah.
I it I think I'm very emotional, right? I love sharing that with people, and I think that's again where that connection comes from. I feel like God gives us all different blessings and challenges. or lets us go through different challenges and trust him. And the relationship part of things, as much as I love lifting stones and love lifting logs and doing things outside, my favorite part of all that is the relationship. Like most of my time I'm out there by myself, which I think is important, right? It really is important to kind of face that and do those things that I love, but also scare me. But there's nothing greater than when someone's out there with me. Like I just that makes me feel very close to them. It's a great bond. Most of my best friends in my life are through fitness, and it's such a wonderful thing, and it's a great thing to see that journey. So yeah, for me, the yeah, how strong you are, what you're capable of, it's a great side effect. It's a super cool thing that happens.
Hmm.
But yeah, what it does for your mind and for your heart, and hopefully to honor God, is just you can't put that into words. But it's a bond that you share, right? When it's someone out there with you or someone in the gym with you, it's such a special thing. It's I'm sure musicians have something similar, right? My music career ended in the second grade trying to play the recorder. Like that was about it. But but I'm sure I'm a huge Van Halen fan. I love Van Halen. Eddie Van Halen was just my absolute favorite, and I'm sure when he was jamming with people, I'm sure that there was an emotional connection there because they spoke the same language. Um, and for me, the same thing happens with fitness, whether it's in the gym or out in the woods. It's just a very special connection when you're out there with somebody because you guys get to speak the same language and see other people push through the challenges that you and I have experienced, and that's just a wonderful bond
It's team building and it's relationship building.
for sure, for
Yeah.
sure.
So why not make a living out of it? I think it's brilliant.
Right. Yeah, yep, yeah. I'm super excited about that. So we'll see where God takes it, and just do our best and have fun with it.
Well, I look forward to following along, man.
Thank you so much.
Where can people find you before I get you out of here?
So as of right now, I would say just on my Instagram page, it's lift stone, not iron. So always, I feel like a kid now. DM me. You can certainly send messages, and as soon as the website is up for the team building, I'll definitely put a link to that. And yeah, any way I can help people, and seriously, if there's a part of any of this, especially the abuse, like going through being sexually abused, if there's people that ever want to talk about that or that have similar struggles or something you've been through, I honestly am very happy to help or serve, or at least share a story on that, because I think knowing that other people have gone through difficult situations and trauma, like just knowing you're not alone in that is super powerful.
Yeah, well said, man. Thank you so much. Dude, last thing, and I just thought of this. Your page is it's unique in a way because it there's a mystery to it. I'm not sure
Mm.
you've ever said it. Like I've seen some of your videos. I haven't watched every single one of them, but you don't like talk to the camera at all, do you?
No, I know that's I know that's so yeah, the
But
Instagram.
I like that though. Like that's cool. That
Yeah.
intrigues me on like a mystery, man. Like there's a lot of
You're one of the first people that's ever said that to me. I appreciate that. That's
dude, I get down on these rabbit holes, down these rabbit holes on like YouTube, and I'll watch like survival videos of these guys that just go out into the backcountry and they'll build fires and shelters and cook food and they won't say anything.
right.
And
Yeah,
they'll be
yeah.
like hour, 90-minute videos and I'll watch the whole thing.
Because it's real.
Yeah.
There's a yeah. This is actually a big conversation with some people at the gym with me, because again, this whole thing is so new to me. And then what happened with Arnold, which thank you, Arnold Schwarzenegger. That is amazing. Jesus did that. Arnold put it on his page. Amazing. Like I never in my wildest dreams thought that he would put one of my videos on his page and write something and then start following me. Like that is mind blown. Completely blew my mind. Just absolutely amazing. Um, I don't think there's anything wrong with how a lot of stuff on social media is right now at all. For me, I love when things aren't always polished and just kind of gritty, and not purposely pursuing that, but just real. And I feel like there's got to be some bit of a right. The pendulum always kind of swings back and forth, and I feel like there's got to be some bit of a push for just very real, authentic. And that's kind of what I've always, not kind of, it's what I've always wanted to do. Again, there's nothing wrong with putting trending music on your video. I feel like if I did that, it would be pursuing being in or being viewed more than showing what I actually do, if that makes sense.
Without a
So what
doubt.
I've always what I've always wanted to do with my page is just give a real opportunity for people to see what I do. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't like it, but this is what I do, and it's very real. Excuse me, it's very gritty, and it's not polished up. This is just actually what it's like. And if it happens to be that a lot of people see it, awesome. If it happens to be that Arnold Schwarzenegger puts it on his page, that is one of the most amazing things ever. I don't want it to be because I picked a certain song that's in right now, right? And I don't want to, because again, for myself, if I start pursuing views over top of doing what I am passionate about and what I'm able to do, for me, that doesn't feel right. I don't think that's wrong for somebody else. That's just how I view this. So I have to put pretty hard guidelines on myself of, why are you doing this, right? Ask myself why. Like, what is my intention here? Is this something I would actually do, or is it? And I think we all suffer from that. Well, this would get more likes, this would get more views. I think that's something that you can easily go to, but to try to fight that and prevent that and just try to keep it as honest and as real as possible is something I've always tried to do. I What I'm learning is when you talk to the camera, it normally gets more attention. And some people I follow on that do that, and they're amazing at it. Like they do a wonderful job. But I think part of it is I struggle believing somebody would want to hear me narrate something that I do. Just being honest, I'm like, people aren't going to want to see this. But at the same time, a big part of it is I just want to capture, here's what I do out in the woods, and let people just see it for what it is, and let it just be pretty basic.
Well, selfishly, it's very exciting when I try to book you for a podcast because I have no idea what I'm going to get. Right. I just go to your page. I'm like, this dude lives heavy shit. I'm gonna send him a message, and then we exchanged a few after that, just typing messages, no video or anything. So I had no idea what it was gonna get, what I was gonna get. Didn't know what your voice sounded like or anything. So for me, as trying to host a show, that was really fun because usually I have like a decent understanding of like somebody will get on their camera on their phone and post a video and you can like hear what they say, see what they look like, but you're kind of like this mysterious guy out in the woods just getting it in. And for me that made it a lot of fun. So,
I appreciate it. Yeah, that's yeah, I think everyone has just a different purpose on social media. And again, not as long as you feel like you're doing what's right, right? And for me, it was always just let's just document this. And there were multiple times where it's like, wait, should I be doing something else? Should I not be? But then it comes back to that, what is my purpose in this? Like, why am I actually doing this? And yeah, I feel good about it. I really do. There's a lot of advice now on, well, here's what you should start doing. But I feel like God has blessed me by doing this organically and just sticking to here's how I do things. And some people will enjoy that and some people won't. And that is okay,
yeah,
because we're all different things.
absolutely. Mark, man, I appreciate your time, man. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you so much, brother. I thank you for reaching out. This was a blast, super exciting, little nerve-wracking, but in a very, very fun way. I don't think in your 40s and 50s and even 30s you probably get really nervous very often. So it's been fun to have some butterflies.
Yeah, I still do every now and then, man. Because you're meeting somebody new and people get freaked out with a microphone sometimes, and it's like, just be yourself. We'll just talk, and they usually, well, they always turn out really well. And this one was no different. Just awesome conversation. I know a lot of people will be able to benefit from the podcast. And um, like Mark said, if you have anything in common in terms of, you know, struggles in your past, obviously his messages are open for DM, and that's what's fun about doing these is that you can help somebody, and we're gonna keep going. Mark, do me a solid, dude. Stay on the line, and I'll get you out of here.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, brother.
Yes, sir. Okay, so that's our time. We're still recording, but I won't add this. Usually, when I stop it, it'll go offline. So, um, if that happens, I'll just like video call you on IG and we'll talk for another second. Is that all right?
Absolutely.
Cool. Yeah, this might cut off, so I'll call you on IG.
Sounds great.